explicit text messages to a boy in his high school. Friends tell NBC News the boy sent screenshots to a female student, and those spread.
She was a beautiful little girl, full of happiness, and she was always smiling.
After 13-year-old Diego was sucker punched at Landmark Middle School in September, he was hospitalized for more than a week before doctors pronounced him dead.
Bullying is when people hurt other people. Whenever they make someone feel bad about being who they are.
Bullying is when someone who has power uses that power to victimize somebody else.
And a lot of times the bully is suffering or going through things just as much. So it's almost like a sense of power that people experience to be able to get ahead of someone else, I guess.
There are many types of bullying, from physical bullying to verbal bullying to cyberbullying to even social bullying. Physical bullying, the act of physically hurting someone, one of the most apparent types of bullying, easy to spot. This could be when we see someone spitting, tripping, pushing, kicking, pinching, and or taking or breaking someone's personal things. Verbal bullying, saying mean things to someone, such as teasing, making inappropriate comments, and or threatening to hurt someone. Cyberbullying, harming another through an electronic device and or online. This could be things such as sending hurtful texts, emails, and any online posts. It could also mean excluding others online or making up rumors, as well as imitating someone else. Social bullying, harming someone's social reputation and or causing them humiliation. This could be actions such as not including someone on purpose, telling others to not be friends with someone, spreading rumors about them, and embarrassing someone in public.
I think schools are a hot spot for bullying because you have students from diverse backgrounds with diverse perspectives and experiences coming together in one shared space. And I feel like if we were to talk about bullying for what it was, which is often symptomatic of classism or racism, sexism, homophobia, then kids would be better prepared to navigate some of the complex emotions that are playing into why they might feel a need to harass another student.
I don't know if it's being addressed as or taken as seriously as maybe it should sometimes. We need more of a structured kind of like a grievance policy.
Grievance, a form of suffering or distress. There are different types of grievances. When we are sad, we might listen to our favorite music, or place our feelings on a canvas. When we are angry, we use grievance to help us release our anger. But what happens to those young students who don't have those outlets? Or what happens to those who don't know how to cope with their own grievance? How can they let those feelings out?
Bully themselves have gone through some trauma, and so my mind, as I think about some like root cause analysis, I immediately go towards, what does that bully need to heal?
For some reason, it feels like a release of those emotions to let some of that out onto another student or a person that kind of becomes their victim.
Why do you think you're getting bullied by this person?
Because it's not an excuse for it, but I just think that at home they're not having, their parents are having a rough time in their marriage or something like that, and they feel the need to pick on someone else because of their rough times.
Why do you think kids bully other kids in school?
Because I feel like they have problems at home and they need to take it out on something, and they take it out on us.
There is also the victim. Due to the incidents of bullying made by their fellow classmates, the students who are bullied are left in a distressful and harmful state. They feel isolated and believe they do not have others who care for them. Students often carry these feelings of hopelessness, fear, isolation, hatred towards themselves, and so much more.
It made me feel like I was less than other people,
which leads some victims to end their very own lives.
Little boy right here, Kevin Reese Jr., who was only 10 years old when he took his own life.
I never thought he would go this far, never. And I'm still in disbelief. It's taken me a while to actually to accept the fact that this happened.
10-year-old Kevin Reese Jr. was a 5th grader at M. Robinson Elementary School in Katy. He loved drawing and painting.
The school gave me this in his art class. He just doodled this.
Look at that smile. On the surface, a seemingly happy kid.
Kevin was a goofy child. He's my little goof troop, I call him.
But on the inside,
I just thought maybe he was just handling the situations.
A deep-seated struggle. A struggle his mom says was fueled by bullying at school, according to what he told her.
They wrote on his tablets, "Kill yourself, you don't belong here." When they got physical back in, I want to say November, he came home crying because he didn't fight back. One of the boys punched him several times, coming from a recess.
Then, on January 21st,
he just had enough. And I feel that he was backed up into a corner.
Kevin and his 13-year-old sister got off the school bus. Mom out of town for work. Stepdad was on his way home, but wouldn't make it in time to stop the moment that would change this family forever. Mom got a frantic call from Kevin's sister.
And she was just screaming on the phone, and I didn't understand. And she just said, "Kevin." She just screamed, "Kevin."
Little Kevin committed suicide.
He hung himself in his closet. I told her to hang up with me. Before she hung up with me, I said, if you cut him down, and while you cut him down, call 911.
Sadly, it was too late.
Everything was not real, and I was in a place where I couldn't move.
Kevin now joins a growing list of children ending their lives.
We are seeing more and more of this, and it's not just in our area, it's all over.
I think that it's probable that bullying plays a part. I think it's such a complicated topic. Kids who commit suicide, they do it for a huge variety of reasons. And in my experience with students, I think the thing that is overwhelmingly obvious is that those who are in that dark place, they feel alone, like they're suffering in it alone, that no one's there to help them.
I believe that bullying is one of the causes of young suicides.
Bullying is absolutely a cause of young suicides, probably the number one reason. Students grow up learning their identities, not knowing who they are as people, no matter what it is. And when people begin to make fun of them, and it can be so harmful and hurtful that they feel they're not even worth living. So absolutely.
I think so. I think that when people take their lives, or young people take their lives, is because they feel hopeless and helpless. And a lot of that comes from either peer pressure or somebody outing them, or somebody saying something really hurtful to them, and they don't have the coping skills or the support system to seek help or get out of that funk. And unfortunately, the cases I've heard of suicide have been because of someone being hurt by what other people are saying. Whether they were true facts or not, they felt very alone.
We had a student, Seth, he lived in Tehachapi, and he committed suicide after being bullied for perceived assumptions, or I guess assumptions about his sexual orientation. I think the bullying in part helps, it contributes to a tipping point, where students feel as if really there's no safe place to go, and to feelings of hopelessness by not being accepted by their peers.
I chose to do this because I teach teachers every day who need to know that there are 9 and 10-year-olds that are committing suicide. There are 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that didn't make it anymore. Just within our county, we have recent cases of 2 students who were bullied to the point where they did take their own lives because they identified as LGBT. And it's not okay, and we need to do something about it.
Of love and support for trans people, because like I said, we are one of the most targeted groups.
The 19-year-old fought for the equality of transgender people like her until her death a year ago. After missing for several days, Bornstein's body was found at Hart Park. Her death ruled a suicide.
There are anti-bullying laws that require their school districts to follow a policy that forbids the act of bullying.
It's very complicated now because our students live in a more complicated world where bullying doesn't just take place in the classroom and the halls anymore. As parents, as teachers, as anyone who works with children, our fundamental desire is to keep children safe. I think if we had clearer ideas of what could be done, we could intervene more.
Putting that energy into bullying, into the social issues that these kids are facing. A lot of things in the school is score driven, and that's sad.
I think teachers choose to ignore taboo topics. I don't think they ignore it all. I think that it's easy to talk about bullying someone because they are bigger in weight. Or maybe it's easier to talk about bullying someone because they don't play the game correctly. But when it comes to LGBTQ plus topics or looking at race, those are areas that teachers shy away from. Maybe they don't have the resources to do it correctly, or they are worried of repercussions to be able to even talk about those issues. And I think that makes a big gap in regard to what type of bullying is addressed or discussed in schools.
Con tristeza, sentimiento, porque no puede uno creer que niños tan chiquitos ya tengan esa capacidad de dañar a otros niños de su misma edad. Con sentimiento, porque yo veía que mi hijo ya no quería ir a la escuela. Cuando él era feliz, en las mañanas él se levantaba solito, y después de eso él ya no quería ir a la escuela, lloraba.
Lo descubrí en sí, lo descubrieron en la escuela. Descubrieron el bullying en la escuela porque miraron que mi niña se había cortado su mano. En la escuela creían que por problemas aquí. Entonces, yo como madre, francamente, me sentí pues muy mal. Me sentí como madre me sentí que no supe proteger a mi hija, que no le supe dar la confianza, que no supe mirar sus alertas a tiempo, porque uno piensa que a uno no le va a pasar. Y crees en que tu hija va a venir a contarte, pero ahora yo se lo digo a todos los padres, por más confianza que le tengamos a un hijo, el bullying es más fuerte. Es más fuerte el miedo que agarra un niño al bullying que la confianza que le va a tener a un padre para contarle.
La tuve que llevar al psicólogo. El psicólogo me di cuenta lo que le hacían, que ella se quiso, le dijo a su consejera que se quiso suicidar. Pero no llegó a ese extremo, amiga, porque ya sabe lo que tenía que hacer. De esa vez, el psicólogo habló con el director lo que estaba pasando.
Pienso que si los maestros ponen un poquito más de atención en cada uno de los niños, habría una diferencia muy grande, porque al final del día los niños están más tiempo con los maestros que con los papás. Ellos conocen más a nuestros hijos que a veces nosotros mismos. Podrían decir también los maestros, bueno, pero no es mi trabajo estar vigilando a cada alumno. Sí, a lo mejor no es su trabajo, pero eso podría ser un poquito la diferencia.
I think at this age is extremely hard because especially in the junior high, I see my kids trying to be independent from their parents. So a lot of it, they want to handle it themselves. They don't want to seem weak, like I don't need my mom or dad. Hard for parents to really get the full truth.
A lot of times, parents don't even know what their kids are doing at school. We're trusting, as parents, we're trusting a school to take care of our kids, you know, between 6 to 10 hours a day. Parents are working. They're out, and, you know, very busy doing other things so they can be home with their kids, you know, whenever they can. And if that's the case, they're not sure what's going on at school. Checking in more often, making sure that we find ways to at least call or email. Don't wait for the teacher. We need to be the advocates first to be able to see how are things going, especially if there's a shift in behavior or emotion with our kids, to create that sharing environment instead of the fear. And then also volunteer research or information. If there are pamphlets or info about the type of family that you have, then bring it, share it. Push our teachers to question and to learn, because it's necessary for us to all be okay in the school.
How to respond to bullying. Responding to bullying sends a message to all students. It makes sure they know that bullying is not tolerated. Always address it immediately. Don't wait. That moment may already be the student's tipping point. Stay calm. The victim may already be anxious, so staying calm can help defuse the situation. Make sure that all students are safe first. If they are injured, more steps might need to be taken. Talk with all students involved individually. This avoids making other students a target for further bullying. Students don't want to tattle. Don't ignore it. Remember that your silence might make them feel hopeless. Don't force the students to speak on the spot. The students may already feel intimidated by the bully. Don't have them apologize to one another. Forced apologies are usually not sincere and can create more trouble thereafter. Separate them for individual conversations. Don't ignore the bystanders. Remember to never stay silent. Here are some ways administrators can help prevent bullying. Show that bullying is not tolerated in school. Showing that bullying is not tolerated in school can help form a positive influence in your students. This shows them that you care and you will address the bullying. Provide modeled bullying prevention trainings. Administrators can provide trainings or strategies that implement inclusivity into their lessons and activities. Provide the crisis text line to your students. This helps those students who may need someone to talk to. It also helps them when they need to talk to someone they don't know. You can provide the text line behind the students' IDs or on posters where students can see them. There are many ways we can prevent bullying. We can start by being inclusive in our classroom. And when I say inclusive, I mean it in a very broad and wide term.
Me including everybody, whether it be ability or disability, orientation, sexual orientation, gender identity, ethnicity, language. It just means including anybody and everybody who's in the room.
Whatever they bring with them, inside, outside, it's accepted and it's okay.
I organized all of my findings into words or terms that educators can follow throughout their teaching experience. Use social and emotional learning into your teaching and into your classroom.
So with social emotional learning, we think about the whole child. We think about how a kid needs to be acknowledged for their feelings. Whenever a student can come to school, one day they might be okay, but then the next day they're not. And we need to address that and look at that, because the way they're feeling does affect the way that they do their homework, the way that they listen in class, the way that they achieve.
Que si el niño va y se arrima a ti, por favor, escúchalo, siéntelo. Cuando se acerca a ti como maestro, no lo rechaces. ¿Por qué? Porque él te está tratando de decir algo.
This helps those students who may be facing grievances in their life and find it difficult to release those emotions in a safe way.
Deal with your own emotions and how to interact with other people, and kind of trying to be aware of what you say impacts other people.
Empathy. Include activities or conversations that relate to the topic of empathy. There are also students who may have not had the opportunity to think about what it is like to be in someone else's shoes, which has them think blindly sometimes.
Empathize with someone, it's more than being able to just identify what emotion the other person is feeling, but it's about actually being able to feel some of the pain that they may be feeling, even though you might not have experienced the same thing. You know, your ability to put yourself in that person's shoes and try to experience the world as they may be experiencing it.
Que el niño que va entrando, que viene de México, de la India, de varias partes de China, de otro lado, que los maestros tienen que estar atentos con esos niños, porque es a los que les hacen bullying, que porque no saben inglés o porque esto, que apoyen a los niños que van llegando de México y que hablen con todos.
By doing those things, by showing empathy and modeling the appropriate behaviors.
Students need to find ways in which they can express who they are. Perhaps they like art and may find it a strong importance to them. Perhaps they have a certain culture that is close to them. That way, students are able to express who they are in the classroom without being afraid of being judged.
There's more, creativity and more opportunities to see an issue in different ways.
Modeling how to come back into a space, discuss our issues, and repair them. And by doing all of that with students, I think it really does have the impact.
So if we can take ourselves out of it as teachers and start thinking about how we can just help them feel validated in our classroom, that's all we're supposed to do. We don't have to preach or teach any certain type of belief or religion unless it's just being a caring person, because that's what we should do in our classroom.
Please model and teach kindness to your students. Place posters and materials that spread the importance of kindness. Model that positive encouragement and praise.
They need to learn the social aspects of how to get along and how to treat other people that may look different than them or may act differently than them. Even if you don't approve or appreciate someone, they should still learn how to respect them.
But in constant education and reminding, hey, that's not kind, that's not nice. I think teaching kids how to politely agree or disagree with each other definitely is going to prevent some of the bullying, because I feel as though the bullying is because they disagree with something.
Form that classroom of culture and acceptance to the diversity in our world. Everyone is different, and students need to be aware of that.
Not see difference as something that's bad, but to see it as something that makes their community even stronger.
Crecen con una hermandad, que es lo que ahorita los niños necesitan. Crecer en una hermandad, en una familiaridad. Porque vuelvo y lo repito, al final del día, esa clase de 25 30 niños, eso se vuelve una familia por un año.
We have to provide the resources, books, posters, any videos, visuals, where we say, oh, that person looks like us, or oh, look, they're sharing even though they have different cultures. They're different colors, but they're best friends.
Having diverse libraries, having diverse books, talking about diverse experiences, sharing their own experiences, just having resources that are different. Students can see, hey, there's difference.
Reflect our world. Reflect the humanity in your classroom. And onto your teaching. Your students are human too. Ask yourself, what is going on in the real world right now, and what may my students already know?
Nonfiction text or using novels that can relate to the students is very important to be able to help them see that they are recognized for who they are, that they're being looked at in a light that it's just an everyday part of society instead of it being a strange thing.
We should make connections in the classroom. We need to stop dehumanizing them and form a safe place for them. Talk about topics in a safe manner, like racism, homophobia, the gun violence. Allow them to know that they have a voice in society. Then the bullying can lessen from their environment.
If they don't see that, then they don't know it. And that's when they begin to mistreat each other because of the differences.